In the heart of Cairo, where ancient history and modern life intertwine, a priceless Egyptian amulet mysteriously vanished from the Museum of Antiquities, Cairo. A city that hums with the echoes of the past and the buzz of the present. A city where the pyramids stand as silent witnesses to the march of time. In this city, a mystery was about to unfold. A precious amulet, unearthed from the depths of a hidden tomb and believed to possess mystical powers, disappeared from the Museum of Antiquities. The locals whispered about an ancient curse that would befall anyone who dared to possess it unlawfully. The air was thick with fear and suspicion. Into this scene of chaos and uncertainty stepped Detective James, renowned for his sharp wit and keen investigative skills. He was summoned to unravel the case that had left the city in a state of dread. With his fedora tipped slightly forward and his trench coat fluttering in the breeze, he was the picture of a seasoned detective, ready to dive into the heart of the mystery. As he arrived at the museum, he was greeted by Dr. Layla Ahmed, the museum's curator. Her brows were furrowed, her hands trembling as she explained the gravity of the situation. The amulet was not just a priceless artifact, it was a significant piece of Egypt's history. Its disappearance was a blow to the city's cultural heritage. James listened to Dr. Ahmed, his gray eyes reflecting a deep understanding of the magnitude of the situation. He knew he had a monumental task ahead. He was not just looking for a stolen artifact, he was searching for a piece of history that had been ripped away from its rightful place. With the museum in chaos and rumors of a curse swirling, Detective James begins his meticulous investigation. He knew that the road ahead was filled with twists and turns, but he was prepared to face whatever came his way. The game was afoot, and Detective James was ready to play. As James surveyed the crime scene, his keen eyes spotted an intricate carving on the floor. Amidst the shattered remnants of the display case, the peculiar symbol lay hidden in plain sight, almost indistinguishable from the museum's ornate patterns. The carving, reminiscent of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, seemed out of place, a small inconsistency that only a trained eye could detect. James knelt down, tracing the symbol with a gloved finger. It was a clue, one that could potentially lead him to the elusive thief. But first, he needed to understand its meaning. The symbol was like a silent whisper from the past, waiting for someone to decipher its cryptic message. Determined to unravel the mystery, James delved deeper into the history of the stolen amulet. His research led him to the era of the pharaoh Akhenaten, a time of radical religious transformation in ancient Egypt. The amulet, it was said, had once been a treasured possession of the pharaoh himself, a gift bestowed upon him by the sun god Ra. It was more than just a priceless artifact, it was a symbol of divine protection, a piece of Egypt's rich and vibrant history. As he immersed himself in the ancient texts, James began to connect the dots. The symbol carved into the floor was the same as the one etched onto the amulet. It was an emblem of the sun god Ra, a mark of divine favor. Could it have been left behind intentionally, a calling card of the thief? Or was it a mere coincidence, an accidental trace of the amulet's storied past? These questions swirled in James's mind as he continued his investigation. He knew he was dealing with a cunning adversary, one who had managed to evade the museum's security and make off with a priceless artifact. But he was not discouraged. On the contrary, he was more determined than ever to solve the case. With this newfound knowledge, James delves deeper into the mystery, the symbol acting as a beacon in the dark. The journey was far from over, but with each step he was getting closer to the truth. And as any good detective knows, the truth has a way of coming to light, no matter how well it is hidden. In the midst of his investigation, James encounters a myriad of suspects, each one unique, each one with a possible motive to covet the missing amulet. Our first suspect is Ahmed Farouk, a man with an insatiable appetite for rare artifacts. Wealthy and influential, Farouk's collection is a testament to his relentless pursuit of the rare and the beautiful. He had shown a keen interest in the amulet, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fascination and greed each time he set his eyes on it. Then there's Dr. Amira Hassan, an archaeologist of high repute but also a rival of Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Hassan had always been in the shadow of Dr. Ahmed's success, and the discovery of the amulet had only deepened her envy. Her motive? Jealousy, pure and simple. She yearned for the recognition that the discovery of the amulet had brought Dr. Ahmed, and what better way to steal the limelight than to steal the amulet itself? Each suspect, a puzzle in their own right, presented James with a challenge. He delved into their lives, their pasts, their secrets. He scrutinized their alibis, their motivations, their relationships. He left no stone unturned, no lead unexplored. His sharp wit and keen investigative skills were put to the test as he navigated the complex web of deception and intrigue. Yet despite his best efforts, the concrete evidence he so desperately sought remained elusive. Each clue seemed to lead to a dead end, each lead fizzled out into nothingness. The case was like a complex maze, and James was in the center, trying to find his way to the truth. The stolen amulet, the fear of the locals, the suspects and their motives. All these elements swirled around in a storm of confusion and uncertainty. But James was undeterred. He knew that beneath the chaos, under the layers of deception, the truth was waiting to be uncovered. Despite the array of suspects, concrete evidence remains elusive. But James knows, a good detective never gives up. He keeps digging, keeps searching, keeps fighting for the truth. And that's exactly what he intends to do. The mystery of the missing amulet continues, and so does our tale. Just as the case seems to be growing colder, a shadowy figure on the security footage catches James's attention. The detective's eyes, well accustomed to the pursuit of truth, were drawn to a barely discernible shape lurking near the museum entrance. The figure was cloaked in the darkness of the night, but its presence was undeniable. Squinting, James leaned closer to the screen, his interest piqued. He had seen the footage countless times, but this was different. It was as if the figure was purposefully trying to blend into the shadows, to become one with the darkness. James's heart pounded in his chest. Could this be the breakthrough he was waiting for? With a click of a button, he began to enhance the footage. The process was painstakingly slow, requiring a delicate balance of patience and precision. But James was relentless. He knew that every detail, no matter how insignificant it may seem, could be the key to solving the mystery. As the image gradually became clearer, James felt a surge of adrenaline. The figure was no longer a mere shadow. It had a face that James recognized all too well. His sharp eyes widened in surprise. It was Dr. Amira Hassan, the rival archaeologist. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. Dr. Hassan, driven by jealousy and greed, had stolen the amulet. Her motive was as clear as the day. She had been envious of Dr. Ahmed's discovery, desiring the fame and fortune that came with it. The evidence was right there, captured in the grainy footage. With the thief's identity revealed, James prepares for a confrontation. He knew he had to tread carefully. Confronting Dr. Hassan would not be easy, but he was ready. He had the evidence he needed. The truth was in his grasp. And James, ever the determined detective, would stop at nothing to bring the thief to justice. With evidence in hand, James confronts Dr. Hassan, who finally confesses to her crime. The silence that fills the room is shattered by her voice, frail yet defiant. She admits to the theft, her motivation fueled by unquenchable jealousy and insatiable greed. The amulet, she believed, would fetch a king's ransom on the black market, a quick shortcut to wealth she'd always craved. But the truth was out now, and the weight of her actions rested heavily on her shoulders. James, the embodiment of unwavering justice, listened as the confession unfolded, his gaze stern, yet empathetic. Once the confession was over, James took the stolen amulet from Dr. Hassan. He returned it to the Museum of Antiquities, to its rightful place of honor. The amulet's return was met with a palpable sense of relief, as if Cairo itself had been holding its breath. With the amulet back in its rightful place, a sense of relief washes over Cairo. As the case comes to a close, the people of Cairo breathe a sigh of relief. The vanishing amulet, once shrouded in mystery and suspicion, now rests in its rightful place within the hallowed halls of the Museum of Antiquities. The curse, a phantom of the past, evaporates into the ether, leaving only peace in its wake. Detective James, our keen-eyed guardian of justice, stands tall. His unwavering dedication, his sharp wit, his relentless pursuit of truth, all culminate in the resolution of a case that had once seemed insurmountable. He had navigated a labyrinth of suspicion, unraveled a tapestry of deceit, and emerged victorious. Yet, in the glow of his success, he remains humble. He casts no shadow of arrogance, instead attributing his victory to his observational skills and his tenacity. His name echoes through the corridors of justice, a beacon of integrity and dedication. Another chapter in Detective James's illustrious career closes, leaving behind a legacy of justice and integrity.